Well, hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Love Not Fear. I'm Jack Cox, author of Love Not Fear. Now, I'm not going to be here on Monday for the live show. I'm going to be travelling. So I'm just going to pre-record this. It's just me speaking to camera. Annie's not with me at the moment. And there are no guests invited to this. It's just me speaking to camera. Um, Now, I've spoken before on this channel, and Annie's spoken before on this channel, quite a lot about the idea that we live in an illusion. The so-called physical reality is just an illusion. We did a show about it just 2 or 3 weeks ago. I did a show about it about 2 years ago, which I called the Matrix within a Matrix, where I talk about the two different levels of illusion. The basic idea that the physical world that we think we're born into is an illusion, that our meat suits are just an illusion, and that all physical reality isn't reality at all. It's just an illusion. And then I talk about the second level of illusion of the Matrix, which is what in the book I call the game we did not devise. I say we were all born into a game we did not devise, where the rules are stacked against us in favour of the globalist elite. And this is a matrix filled with false ideas, false beliefs, false cultural values that we've been born into, successive generations have been born into for, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 years probably. But today I want to look at a different aspect of all of this. I mean, I'll put the links to those below in the show notes if you want to check out those other videos. But today I want to be going into a rather different aspect of it all. And I'm going to start by reading some stuff by Richard Bach. You probably know the author, Richard Bach, and he's famous for his first book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and his second book, Illusions. And I want to just start by reading a brief excerpt from the introduction to Illusions. If I can find it. Oh, yes, here we go. Right, okay. Once there lived a village of creatures along the bottom of a great crystal river. The current of the river swept silently over them all, young and old, rich and poor, good and evil. The current going its own way, knowing only its own crystal self. Each creature, in its own manner, clung tightly to the twigs and rocks of the river bottom. For clinging was their way of life, and resisting the current, what each learned from birth. But one creature said at last, I'm tired of clinging. Though I cannot see it with my eyes, I trust that the current knows where it's going. I should let go, and let it take me where it will. Clinging, I should die of boredom. But the other creatures laughed and said, Fool, let go, and that current you worship will throw you tumbled and smashed across the rocks, and you will die quicker than boredom. But the one heeded them not, and taking a breath, did let go, and was at once tumbled and smashed by the current across the rocks. Yet in time, as the creature refused to cling again, the current lifted him free from the bottom and he was bruised and hurt no more. And the creatures downstream, to whom he was a stranger, cried, "See, a miracle! A creature like ourselves, yet he flies. See the Messiah come to save us all." And the one carried in the current said, "I am no more Messiah than you. The river delights to lift us free, if only we dare let go. Our true work is this voyage, this adventure." But they cried all the more, "Saviour!" all the while clinging to the rocks. And when they looked again, he was gone, and they were left alone, making legends of a saviour. Profound, yeah? Right, I'm now going to read another excerpt from the book. Let me tell you a little bit about the story first. Basically, it's tongue in cheek. It's not meant to be taken too literally. Richard Bach himself, he was a flyer. He was a pilot, and he used to take his old biplane out into the fields of America every summer, doing $3 rides, landing in hay fields and cornfields and that kind of stuff. And in the book, he invents this savior, this Messiah, this reluctant Messiah called Donald Shimoda, who doesn't want the job. He's bored with the job, and he tries to train Richard Bach up to take the job off him. So that's basically the way what the book's about. Yeah, it's a bit of fun, but along the way of telling this very funny story, there's a lot of profound wisdom in it. Okay. So here's a conversation that they've had. They've just been to a diner for burgers or something, and they're walking home, and they're having this conversation. So Richard says, "Don, I will grant you that this life can be interesting or dull, or whatever we choose to make it. But even in my most brilliant times, I've never been able to figure out why we're here in the first place. Tell me something about that, please." We passed a hardware store, closed, and a movie theatre, which is American for cinema, open. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And instead of answering, he stopped and turned back. "You have money, don't you?" "Yeah, lots." "Why, what's the matter?" "Let's see the show. You buy." "Oh, I don't know, Don. You go ahead. I'll get back to the aeroplanes. Don't like to leave them alone too long." Oh, what was so suddenly important about a movie? "The planes are okay. Let's go in and see the show." "But it's already started." "So we come in late." He was already buying his ticket. So I followed him into the dark, and we sat down near the back. There might have been 50 people around us in the gloom. I soon forgot why we came in, and after a while, I got caught up in the story, which I've always thought is a classic movie anyway. This would be my third time seeing Sundance. The time in the cinema, I'm going to call it a cinema because I don't speak American, the time in the cinema spiraled and stretched the way it does in all good films. And I watched a while for technical reasons. How each scene was designed to fit to the next. Why this scene now and not later? I tried to look at it that way, but got spun up in the story and forgot. About the part where Butch and Sundance were surrounded by the entire Bolivian army, almost at the end, Shimoda touched my shoulder. I leaned towards him, watching the movie, wishing he could have kept whatever he was going to say until it was over. Richard? Yeah. Why are you here? It's a good movie, Don. Shh. Butch and Sundance, blood all over them, were talking about why they ought to go to Australia. Why is it good, he said. It's fun. Shh. I'll tell you later. Snap out of it. Wake up. It's all an illusion. I was irked. Donald, there's just a few minutes more, and then we can talk all you want. But let me watch the movie, okay? He whispered intensely, dramatically. Richard, why are you here? Look, I'm here because you asked me to come in here. I turned back and tried to watch to the end. You didn't have to come. You could have said no, thank you. I like the movie. A man in front turned to look at me for a second. I like the movie, Don. Is there anything wrong with that? Nothing at all, he said, and he didn't say another word until it was all over and we were walking again past the used tractor lot and out into the dark towards the field and the aeroplanes. It would be raining before long. I thought about his odd behaviour. You do everything for a reason, Don. Sometimes. Why the movie? Why did you all of a sudden want to see Sundance? You asked a question. Yes, do you have an answer? That is my answer. We went to the movie because you asked a question. The movie was the answer to your question. He was laughing at me now, I knew it. What was my question? There was a long, pained silence. Your question, Richard, was that even in your brilliant times, you've never been able to figure out why we are here. I remembered. And the movie was my answer? Yes. Oh. You don't understand? No. That was a good movie, he said. But the world's best movie is still an illusion, is it not? The pictures aren't even moving. They only appear to move. Changing light that seems to move across a flat screen set up in the dark. Well, yeah, I was beginning to understand. The other people, any people, anywhere who go to any movie show, why are they there when it's only illusions? Well, it's entertainment, I said. Fun, that's right. 1. Could be educational. Good, it's always that. Learning. 2. Fantasy, escape. That's fun too. 1. Technical reasons to see how the film is made. Learning. 2. Escape from boredom. Escape, you said that. Social, to be with friends. Reason for going, but not for seeing the film. That's fun anyway. 1. Whatever I came up with fitted his 2 fingers. People see the film for fun or for learning or both together. And the movie is like a lifetime, Don, is that right? Yes. Then why would anybody choose a bad lifetime, a horror movie? They not only come to the horror movie for fun, they know it's going to be a horror movie when they walk in. But why? Do you like horror films? No. Do you ever see them? No. But some people spend a lot of money and time to see horror or soap opera problems that to other people seem dull and boring. Well, yeah, you don't have to see their films and they don't have to see yours. That's what's called freedom. But why would anybody want to be horrified or bored? Because they think they deserve it for horrifying somebody else, or they like the excitement of the horror, or that boring is the way they think films have to be. Can you believe that lots of people, for reasons that are very sound to them, enjoy believing that they are helpless in their own films? No, you can't. No, I can't, I said. Until you understand that, said Don, you will wonder why some people are unhappy. They are unhappy because they have chosen to be unhappy. And Richard, that's all right. We are game-playing, fun-having creatures. We are the otters of the universe. We cannot die, we cannot hurt ourselves any more than illusions on the screen can be hurt. But we can believe we're hurt in whatever agonizing detail we want. We can believe we're victims, killed and killing, shuttered around by good luck and bad. Many lifetimes, I asked? How many movies have you seen? Oh, films about living on this planet, about living on other planets. Anything that's got space and time. It's all a movie, it's all illusion, he said. But for a while we can learn a huge amount and have a lot of fun with our illusions, can we not? How far do you take this movie thing, Don? How far do you want? You saw the film tonight, partly because I wanted to see it. Lots of people choose lifetimes because they enjoy doing things together. The actors in the film tonight have played together in other films. Before or after depends on which films you've seen first. Or you can see them all at the same time on different screens. We buy tickets to see these films, paying admission by agreeing to believe in the reality of space and the reality of time, neither one of which is true. But anyone who doesn't want to pay that price cannot appear on this planet or in any space-time system at all. Are there some people who don't have any lifetimes at all in space-time? Are there people who never go to see movies? Ah, I see, okay. They get their learning in different ways. Right you are, he said, pleased with me. Space-time is a fairly primitive school, but a lot of people stay with the illusion, even if it's boring, and even if they don't want the lights turned back on early. Who writes these movies, Don? Isn't it strange how much we know if we only ask ourselves instead of asking someone else? Who writes these movies, Richard? We do, I said. And who acts? We. And who is the cameraman, the projectionist, the cinema manager, the ticket taker, the distributor? And who watches it all happen? Who is free to walk out in the middle any time change the plot whenever? Who is free to see the same film, over and over again? Let me guess, I said. Anyone who wants to? Is that enough freedom for you, he said. And is that why movies are so popular? That we instinctively know that they are a parallel to our own lifetimes? Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter much, does it? What's the projector? Mind, I said. No, imagination. It's our imagination. What's the film? Got me. Whatever we give our consent to put into our imagination. Yeah, maybe so, Don. You can hold a reel of film in your hands, he said, and it's all finished and complete, beginning, middle, end, all there at the same second, the same millionth of a second. The film exists beyond time, beyond the time that it records, and if you know what the movie is, you know generally what's going to happen before you even walk into the cinema. There are going to be battles and excitements, witnesses, winners and losers, romance, disaster. You know, all that's going to be in there. But in order to get caught up and swept away in it, in order to enjoy it to the most, you have to put it in a projector and let it go through the lens minute by minute. Any illusion requires space and time to be experienced. So you pay your nickel and you get your ticket and you settle down and forget what's going on outside, and the movie begins for you. And nobody's really hurt. That's just tomato sauce blood? No, it's blood, all right. But it might as well be tomato sauce for all the effect it has on your real life. And reality? Reality is divinely indifferent, Richard. A mother doesn't care what part a child plays in his games. One day bad guy, next day good guy. The is, that's what he calls God, the is doesn't even know about our illusions and games. It only knows itself and us in its likeness, perfect and finished. I'm not sure I want to be perfect and finished. Talk about boredom. Look at the sky, he said. And it was such a quick subject change that I looked at the sky. There was some broken cirrus way up high, the first bit of moonlight shivering the edges, silvering the edges. Pretty sky, I said. Is it a perfect sky? Well, it's always a perfect sky, Don. Are you telling me that even though it's changing every second, the sky is always a perfect sky? Gee, I'm smart, yes. And the sea is always a perfect sea, and it's always changing too. If perfection is stagnation, then heaven is a swamp. And and the is ain't no swamp cookie. Yeah, I'll buy that. You bought it a long time ago, if you insist on time. I turned to him as we walked. Doesn't it get boring for you, Don? Staying on just this one dimension? Oh, am I staying on just this one dimension? Are you? Why is everything I say wrong, Don? Is everything you say wrong? He said. I think I'm in the wrong business. You think maybe property, he said. Yeah, that or insurance. Yeah, there's a future in that if you want one. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want a future or a past. I'd just as soon become a nice old master of the world of illusion. Looks like maybe in another week. Well, Richard, I hope not that long. I looked at him carefully, but he wasn't smiling. Well, I actually love that book. I've read it back to cover so many times. Every time I need to be brought back to, yeah, every time I need to be brought back to what I'm going to now call reality. But the real reality, not the fake reality, not the illusion of reality, not the matrix reality, but the real reality of our lives beyond space and time. I've got some more notes here that I've made, so let me just see if I can find these. Talk amongst yourselves for a second while I find my notes. Parallel realities and space-time. Different timelines. Different parallel realities. Watch what you focus on, because you manifest what you think and feel about the most. And as we manifest the reality we focus our attention upon, the fake reality, of course, as we manifest the illusion of reality that we focus our attention upon, we actually shift into different timelines. We're all contained within our own unique bubbles. Something else that Richard Bach says in that book, elsewhere in the book, he talks about, I think it was 6 billion people on the earth when he wrote the book. Yeah, it's 8 billion now. 8 billion people living in the world. And Shimoda says, no, 8 billion different people living in 8 billion different worlds. You think about it, that's actually true. Our different worlds, our bubbles, interact and overlap. But we're not all living in the same world. And the world we live in depends upon the things we believe. This is how the game we did not devise works. We're only imprisoned in this matrix by our own false beliefs that we've accepted as truth, that we've been taught since birth a truth, and none of it's true. We're all contained within our own unique bubble, and those bubbles overlap and interconnect. We are all fractals of God, playing many parts. Each frequency is experiencing its own reality. We each have our own universe. And of course, it's not just 8 billion people. It's all the different beings on this planet and on every other inhabited planet in the multiverse. And all the beings that don't live on planets as well. We're all our own individual, living in our own individual universes, made up of our own thoughts and our own beliefs. We each have our own universe. We think there's only one world, and all 8 billion of us are in that world. But no, there are 8 billion different worlds. And as I said, a lot more than that. Zillions of different worlds, different timelines, and all are made of thought, of imagination. Which one you will experience, which one will you experience as you shift your bubble? It's all about consciousness. There's no out there. You determine what reality, what version of Earth you will live in by your predominant thoughts. We all do. Think paradise and you will experience paradise. Think totalitarian nightmare and you will experience a totalitarian nightmare. But, okay, perhaps you're okay with that. That's fine. Perhaps you came here to play that game, to watch that movie. And that's fine. Just realize that it's only a game. And fully accept responsibility for the things that you experience. Perhaps you came here to experience a smooth transition to the new Earth. No drama, no trouble. Or perhaps you came here to experience a difficult transition, full of drama, demons, struggle, maybe even spending time behind bars for speaking out. You can have either scenario, it's up to you. You make your choice by the thoughts you choose to think. If you think only positive, pure, fifth-dimensional thoughts, you can live in a positive, pure, fifth-dimensional world. But not everyone wants that. You may think such a life would be boring. And you might want to spice things up a bit. Now that's your choice. But please take 100% responsibility for the life that you are manifesting. You're not a victim. There are no victims. You live in your own world. Everybody is contained in their own world. And as I said, those worlds overlap and interact. This is why it's so important for you to do your shadow work. Not all our thoughts are conscious. Indeed, the vast majority live in our subconscious minds. If we want to ascend to the next level, we must allow nothing to obscure our vision. The lighter your vision, the more light you will see. The more unhealed the shadow you carry, the more you'll see your shadow projected onto your personal world. So the more rubbish your mind entertains, the more fear, the more negativity you absorb, the more you allow, because the conscious mind is purely a sponge. It belongs to your character, the character you're playing. That's how it works. I mean, Shakespeare said all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his life plays many parts. So if you can overcome the pull of the downward spiral, you can get up into the light and you will be able to see more light, if that's what you want. It's your choice. Everything's perception, consciousness. There's no out there, out there. I keep saying this over and over again in these shows. There's no out there, out there. The brain is like a games interface, like a Wii or a PlayStation. It's making it all up as it goes along. It's like putting a virtual reality headset on. Being born is like putting a virtual reality headset on. In fact, maybe that's what it is. You can allow yourself to be pulled down into thoughts of separation and meanness, or pulled higher and higher towards oneness and love. You really can choose to live in love and not fear. You don't have to buy into what other people are seeing. You don't have to buy into what you're being told that life is like. You don't have to buy into all the rubbish you watch on the news. In fact, it's probably best if you don't watch the news at all or any television. And none of it's real. As Bill Hicks said, it's just a ride. Right, so that's tonight's show. I'm going to put this out onto YouTube probably on Monday at the normal time of the show. Please do like, share, and subscribe because it helps us get our message of love and unity out to more people. We really want to get out to more people. We want more subscribers to this channel. People who want to be enlightened. People who want to be inspired. So, until next time, Namaste.